Aloha everyone, this is Dr. BethAnne. I am an author, intuitive psychologist, and an empath, and I craft content on my YouTube for highly sensitive spiritual souls. I also teach, coach, and mentor on intuitive living. So we have been talking about the theme of self-acceptance for the month of September, and this past week in particular, I've been focusing on the idea of being our own expert and having such a sense of like self-acceptance and self-love and seeing ourselves as whole human beings that we really become an expert on who we are. And we have been talking about the idea that like that's the one thing that you are more awesome at than anybody else on the planet. Not that we don't have other cool talents and gifts that we're like here to fulfill as our soul unfolds, but the one thing that you can do better than anybody else is be yourself. I actually find that like really empowering because it means if I'm sucking at everything else in my life, like I can still rock owning myself and being myself. That to me is such a liberating thought because you can't do you wrong. Like we can't do ourselves wrong. And what I wanted to talk about today is our relationship to our emotions. And when we're coming at our emotions from a place of owning our expertise in self, owning our empowering ourselves, that I am my own expert, we can't have wrong emotions. And I feel like this is kind of huge for that self-acceptance thing we've been talking about, because how often do you feel bad or sad or mad or angry or lost or confused or some sort of feeling state, the more difficult ones that are hard to struggle with? And, you know, we kind of have this mental self-talk that might ask us the question of why am I feeling this way? And it's not a very pleasant way to feel. And a lot of times we attach a judgment. Well, you shouldn't feel this way. You should be feeling better. Why are you so sad? Why are you reacting this way? Why are you jealous? Why do you feel blue or down or icky today? And there's like this negativity that creeps in as if that's a wrong or a bad way to feel. And when we do that, we actually disempower ourselves. We disempower our expertise. We disempower our story. We disempower our truth because we've just judged it. We've just attached a judgment to it. We're not living in love with ourselves when we do that. You know, we're coming at it from a place of fear, judgment, condemnation, all of those things. So how do we work with our emotions in a really loving way and make space to not attach to them? The first thing that we have to do is just take them at face value. They are information. They are messengers, if you will. You know, I was thinking about it today, how angels are messengers from the universe, from source, from God, from higher power. A lot of times when I'm doing angel messages, they will call source the great creative being, the great divine being. That's how they speak about, you know, the source of all things, source creator. I really love that, the great creative being. You know, and angels are really messengers of creation, of the great creative being. They've got like the skinny on the upper realms and on the soul realms. And, you know, they're able to bring us these beautiful messages about how, like, yes, you are a divine being, you are a soul in a human body having a human experience, you know, and they're able to bring these beautiful messages in that can have the potential to help us shift our perspective to a lighter place because we're able to see it from like the message of the divine, the message of the celestial realms. Well, emotions are really information that comes from multiple places. Emotions are information from our body, they are information from our history, and they are information from our intuition, and they are information from our heart. So if you add all of those things up, emotions are really information that come from like our wholeness of being. All of those things equate our wholeness of being, you know, sort of mind, body, spirit, heart, emotional center, instincts, gut. Emotions come from all of those places. So they're messengers and they're bringing messages to us from our whole. Emotions are messengers that bring messages to us from our whole. If we can recognize the source and we recognize where it's coming from, it allows us to detach and to look at it with a little bit more curiosity and to ask ourselves the question, where is this coming from inside of me? And then we can do the work of kind of grappling with the emotion and figuring it out. We can do the work of, maybe asking ourselves some questions. Is this connected to a yearning? Is this about grief? Is this about old history and old story that I've been telling myself, and I'm telling myself that story and that's evoking this emotion? We can dive into it and follow its thread deeper, because that's what trusting our emotions is about. It's not necessarily taking them at face value as they are. We accept them at face value and say, like, hey, sadness, like, hey, anger, hey, self-pity, what's up? Come on in. What do you have to tell me today? So we accept them at face value, we can kind of be like an ecumenical church to our emotions. Just come as you are. Everybody's welcome, everybody's equal in this space. But then what we can do is use our emotional intelligence. We use our skills. We use our spiritual work to examine them and to figure out, what message does this have for me? And that's where we can kind of figure out, what part of my whole is this coming from? Is this coming from a really deep, intuitive, heartfelt space? Or is this coming from more mental chatter? We can look at something like anxiety and say, what's the truth behind this? What am I really afraid of? Let me take this deeper. What's underneath the anxiety that's driving it? And when we are able to do that, that's when we're better able to find something tangible in it and integrate it into our fuller aspect of self. That's how we become experts on ourselves. But in order to do that, we have to own our emotions, and we have to make space for all of them. And we have to say, if I'm feeling sad, then there's a reason for that. I'm the expert on me. So I'm not going to use that judgment shit where the world says, well, you shouldn't be sad. It's a really nice day. You have a lot to be grateful for. Just be happy. That's the world telling you that. That's outside messages telling you that. Instead we say, I'm feeling sad today, and it seems like I should be happy because life is going pretty good. So I'm going to sit with the sadness. I'm going to be present, and I'm going to figure out, what is it about for me? And sometimes it's just a day where not a lot comes through and we realize it was just a passing emotion. I really believe as empaths, things pass through us that aren't always our own. Some of us sign up to process emotions that aren't our own, or to carry things for the collective and just allow them to be transmuted through us. So sometimes we just give it time and it passes. But we have to be present with it, and we have to give ourselves permission to trust whatever it is that's coming up and own our expertise in it, and trust ourselves that we can chase that emotion down and go a little bit deeper with it and figure out what it's trying to tell us. So with that, I will stop here. If you enjoy my content, feel free to join me here daily by subscribing. And if you are looking to dive a little bit deeper, I do intuitive mentoring, coaching, and I offer online courses to support your heart-based growth and your intuitive growth. And you can find all of that on my website, BethAnneKW.com. Thank you so much for joining me in this space. I will see everybody tomorrow. Aloha.